Okie dokie. This is. As soon as I sit down, my phone vibrates. Go away. This is the 26th. I know at this time, I think. We're going to pretend it's the 20th. It is the 26th. It's the 26th episode of the Runnin My Mouth podcast. I'm not going to lie, I am your tired host, Erin. And allow me to run my mouth for a little bit. And I'm tired because, I don't know, man. Maybe it's because, yet again, recording a podcast episode not long after I've woken up from a nap, which, what can I say? It's Sunday. Sunday is for naps and nothing else. Like, I don't know what else to tell you. Like, it just be like that. And also tired because I feel like call me Johnny Cash, because I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere. Everywhere within like 2 states, not really all over the country, but it feels like I've been everywhere. And I'm not gonna lie, it's got me a little bit tired, but it's a good tired almost. I don't know. I'm not like, broke down or anything like that. I'm just a wee bit sleepy. Really, that's kind of it. Let me turn this down. There we go. I feel like that's a little bit better. So I got my little list, but before before I get into these main topics today on this here episode of the Runnin My Mouth podcast, I don't know where this is going to progress by the time this episode comes out on Wednesday, but I just want to say this whole Drake versus Kendrick Lamar beef has been peak entertainment. I am so entertained. Listen, as you may well know, I'm not really a rap girly. The closest thing that I listen to that might be considered rap or hip hop is Death Grips. So I'm not really in there. But this is something that transcends genre. Everybody is paying attention to this and watching this all unfold before our very eyes. A truly historic rap beef, one for the history books. I am very entertained. It feels like it's been a while since something has happened that's truly unified the internet. Twitter is a cesspool, like, most of the time, like 99% of the time, 90% of the time. Twitter.com is just like garbage. And, that's thanks to the new overlord, elongated muskrat, which, neither here nor there. But I feel like, not even really just related to this, but some of the best laughs, some of the heartiest giggles I've had have been on Twitter.com, and this situation is no different. I'm just, when was it? On Saturday? Because, I had seen it all kind of unfolding, and I wasn't really paying attention to it, but on Saturday, it was kind of heating up a little bit. Friday into Saturday, so I was like, okay, I'll listen to the songs, I'll read the lyrics, and it's like, you do not mess with someone who has, you as a person with like 20 ghostwriters does not mess with someone who has a Pulitzer Prize in writing. You're gonna get wrecked. I don't know what you thought was gonna happen, but like, Drake, I'm so sorry. Listen, was I a Drake hater before this? Honestly, I didn't really have much respect for him after the whole weirdness with Millie Bobby Brown, because like he was texting her when she was like 13 or something like that. It was crazy. Well, she was far too young. I'll say that much. Entirely too young, right? I have zero experience with Degrassi. I think that's a little bit before my time. And I mean, I don't know. I'm just not really into Drake's music. I think he's kind of, Oh, and then there was the whole thing with the line about Megan Thee Stallion being a liar, which is just, left a sour taste in my mouth, definitely. So I'm not exactly a Drake hater, but I definitely don't care if he gets beat up in the streets. I'll say that much. Lyrically, beat up in the streets, which is what Kendrick Lamar has done. So, honestly, it's a long time coming. A long time coming. And then, this, you would think having your secret child be outed in a diss would be the worst thing to happen to Drake. But somehow all of this is like worse. And I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how farther this is gonna go. I really hope they find this man's daughter. Um, but yeah, it's I'm entertained. I'm not gonna lie. I'm entertained. The internet is exciting. The internet is exciting. What can I say? Um, and I really don't know where this is gonna go by Wednesday, but when this episode comes out, but oh man, I don't know how do you come back from that? And it's like, whatever. Drake is like a multi-platinum selling artist, performs in arenas like frequently, but like I don't know. Like, how do you come back from this? This is crazy. Anyways, that's really all I have to say about it. I am clearly picking a side. Because honestly, okay, another thing is that if you were to pick sides, right? And one of those sides has DJ academics on it, which side are you gonna pick? I'm not picking the side with DJ freaking academics on it, Like who would do that? The corniest man in existence. Like first of all, cannot take that man seriously, like at all. I love how I just said, like, oh, I'm not really in the rap world, but like also I have several opinions on like a lot of things. So like maybe I am a little bit, I don't know. I don't really listen to the music, but I do engage with the culture just a little bit. But yeah, if you're picking sides and one of those sides has DJ academics on it, then like, why are you on that side? You've automatically lost. Like, come on now. Let's be serious. Anywho, I'm not really going to get very deep into that because, again, I really don't have a whole lot to say other than it was good and then it got better and now I'm just waiting to see where it goes. That's it. Anywho, I have seen, let's see, since this last episode came out, episode 24. What? Episode 25. Since episode 25. I have seen quite a few bands, like a not insignificant amount of them. So, as you can see, I'm wearing, okay, you can't really see it, hold on. I'm wearing the Surf Wax shirt. I bought it at their 420 show, which was a fun show. They're really good, by the way. Stream Surf Wax, stream Party Wave. That's a good album. What was I going to say? So, something that I found out recently is that I think I really love grindcore. Like, I had never really given it any consideration before, but after seeing, I don't know if they describe themselves as grindcore, but I'll call them grindcore. After seeing a grindcore band live, I was like, this might be for me. Like, this really might be for me. So I'm talking about a band called Primitive Rage. They are from Springfield, Missouri, I believe, and they came down here like a couple of Mondays ago. Like, I was heavily debating whether or not I would go to their show because number one, it was a Monday night, and number two, it was like show 5 in like 5 days of shows that I had gone to, except I had skipped one day. So I was like, oh my God, I'm so tired. I just want to go home. I just want to lay in my bed and go to bed at like a normal time. And also, I'd been taking pictures at shows, and I decided not to at the show. I decided, like, I'm just going to show up and, like, listen and just, like, have a good time. And I did end up having a good time because my uncles in Crypt Eater were also performing that night. And I was like, I might as well go see them. Why not? And the other bands, they might be pretty good, too, because I really love the energy, which, I mean, I've talked about this before. I love the energy that Crypt Eater brings to any show. Like, I don't know. I love the energy of like punk and hardcore and genres like that because I don't know, it really just gets me right up in here for some reason more than like any other genre does. It's the kind of music that makes you want to like get on all fours and like spin your head around. That kind of stuff, I like that. Not that I would ever do that cuz, I might get spin kicked in the head if I did do that. But it gives you that feeling, and that's what's really important. So, going back to Primitive Rage, they're from Springfield, Missouri. They have some music out on various streaming services that you can check out, and they were really good. Before I even like forget though, the reason that I think they were really good is that I don't know what they're doing to achieve this sound, and I would really love to figure it out, but their bass tone, I don't know how I can describe it because the videos that I took don't really have it doesn't really display it in a good way like the what I'm about to describe. But imagine this. Imagine you have a bass and you have these really thick like gauge strings on the bass, and you take those strings off of the bass and you put them in like some old motor oil and like grease and like other nasty stuff, and you put it back on the guitar, and then not the guitar, the bass, and then you play it with that. That is how I would describe their bass tone. Just nasty, like nasty, 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 but in a good way. Like, if you have the opportunity, because I believe they're still on tour, if you have the opportunity to see Primitive Rage, I implore you to do so because the bass tone alone will hook you. I mean, obviously you might need to be amenable to grindcore in order to be hooked, but I don't know, you might end up surprised like me. I never thought I would really be into like grindcore like that, but I ended up loving it. It was so good. I love Primitive Rage, and I really hope they make a return to Jackson at some point because I would really love to see them again. It's too bad they're all the way up in Missouri. But they were touring with a band called Mall, which is from North Dakota. I can't remember where. I don't think it's Fargo. It might be Fargo, but somewhere up north in North Dakota in the Midwest. Oh, that's terrible. That was an awful accent. Let me stop. They're from North Dakota, and they were also really good. But I don't know. I left that being like, I love grindcore so much. Oh my god. And so after that, let me see. I don't think there were really any shows after that. I gotta go back to my calendar because sometimes I forget. Where am I? April. Yeah, okay. So that next Sunday, I traveled back to my home state of Alabama to see Erra on their Cure tour. Their Cure tour, just so fun to say. In our home state, not both of our home cities, but our home state of Alabama and in Birmingham, at this little venue called Iron City, which, you know, if I had to rank it among venues, I would say it's pretty decent. As far as size goes, I would say if you've ever been to, the House of Blues in New Orleans, I would say it's like a little bit bigger than that, but not very much. It's not like a huge room or anything like that. I managed to get the barrier spot because I showed up nice and early. Well, actually, I didn't even show up that early. I showed up like 30 minutes before the doors opened, which is crazy because, you know, I don't know, maybe I'm inflating them in my head, but I bought that Erra ticket for $25. Obviously, fees and stuff added on with Ticketmaster, which is whatever, but $25 that ticket cost me to see 4 bands, and one of them was Erra. Like, that's a good deal, because, you know, the last time that I paid money to see Erra, I ended up paying something like $60, close to $70 because there's freaking Bad Omens, which, listen, I don't mean to continuously dunk on Bad Omens, but having that happen really put a sour taste in my mouth, even though I fully acknowledge not their fault, like literally not the band's fault, but I don't know. I don't know if they were worth Let me stop while I'm ahead. We're moving on. So before I get to Erra, let's see, they had 3 bands opening. So the first was Novelists from Francais, from France, all the way down in Alabama, which I thought was nice. They have a female vocalist, and I saw on Reddit that she's new. I don't know if I would assume they've always had a female vocalist, but I guess the one who's there during the tour, she's new. She's really good, though. I liked her a lot. She can sing real pretty, and she can scream. I like the duality of voice. So they're nice and fun. Something that I kind of noticed, I don't know if it was just, time flies because you're having fun. But it felt like the sets were really short. Like for 4 bands, I would think, each of them would have got like an hour. But I think each of them got like 30 minutes, except for Erra, which was probably like an hour. If that, I don't even think theirs was an hour, now that I think about it. Yeah, probably not, because if I go on, I have the playlist saved on Spotify, and if I go and look at it, I think it's only like a little over 2 hours. Yeah, the tour set list for everyone's set is like 2 hours and 22 minutes, so almost 2.5 hours. So if we were to break that up, we could say, without doing mathematics in my head, the openers got 30 minutes and Erra got like an hour, which I don't know why, but I feel like sets used to be longer. Like we were out of there at 10:30. They're like, you guys are gonna be in bed in your jammies at 11 o'clock, and we're gonna make sure of it because it's Sunday. I guess I don't know. Because I told my parents, because I was driving from Selma to Birmingham, which if you don't know, number one, it's like an hour and a half, and number two, it's a bunch of 2-lane roads, no lights. Like it's kind of wild. The drive is kind of wild, but the drive this time wasn't as bad as it was last time when I went and saw them for their Pull from the Ghost tour, because that night I was legitimately falling asleep in my car. That was scary. I was like, I can never do that again. So I devised a plan. When I went to get gas to go up there, I bought an energy drink and kept that in my car. Once the show was over, as I was driving back, I was drinking the energy drink. And I don't know if that worked. I'm assuming it worked because I stayed awake and like alert and everything like that, which I definitely had to because the deer were out. The deer were out and about, scampering around in the woods. Also scary, but thankfully didn't hit any, which, ooh, I hate deer. They don't even taste that good, but that's neither here nor there. Anyway, the drive back in the middle of the night wasn't too terribly bad. I got back around midnight, but I told my parents, like, oh yeah, the show's probably going to end at midnight, so I'll probably be back like at 1 a.m. or something crazy like that, but it didn't. So I don't know. For some reason, it felt really short to me. So anyways, after Novelists, who are from Francais, was Void of Vision from Australia. I thought they were pretty good. I don't know. I don't really have a whole lot of thoughts about them, to be completely honest. They were fine. I like them. Australia. I thought the vocalist was really good. He's wearing leather pants, which I thought was a choice, because it's pretty hot. It wasn't, like, hot. Like, it's about to be hot this week. But, I don't know. Leather pants in Alabama in, like, late April. Sometimes, late April, it can get pretty cool. Like, this time last year, I feel like we were still holding on to, like, the coolness. Now, it's hot. But, I don't know. Anyways, after Void of Vision was Make Them Suffer, and I really like them. I think I had heard some of their stuff before, because going through the playlist, the setlist playlist, I recognized some of the, what do you call them? The album art in, like, random Spotify playlists that I would listen to. So I sort of familiar with them, but man, they were good. They were really good. Like, I like Make Them Suffer a lot. And I have an artifact. I have something really cool. So, this is a drumstick, which, by the way, if you're only listening to the audio version, first of all, if you're only listening to the audio version, you're only getting half the story. And also, I'm holding up a drumstick. And there's nothing really special about the drumstick itself. It's a ProMark brand drumstick, Rebound 5A. I don't know if that means anything, but the wood looks almost burnt. It's a really nice looking drumstick. But if you've never been to I don't know if they do this at like other kinds of shows, but the shows that I go to, not the local ones, but like the bigger ones, at the end of the sets, and sometimes in the middle of them too, you'll get they'll throw let's say guitar picks out into the crowd, or in my case, on my birthday, in 2022, I got mine handed to me. I didn't have to reach for nothing. Anyways, they'll throw guitar picks out into the crowd, and they'll throw drumsticks out into the crowd. And aside from, again, being handed one on my birthday, I've never really been able to like catch one because they always throw them like out in the middle, and I'm usually out to the side because I don't want to get moshed on or crowd surfed upon. But this time, at the end of Make Them Suffer set, their drummer threw out I think they were the spare drumsticks, and I was able to catch one. It like bonked me on the head at first, but I got it. And I was like, oh my gosh. But also it's kind of awkward because now I'm just like, what do I do with this drumstick? I still have to, Erra hasn't even come on yet. Now I have to just like carry this with me during the show. So what I ended up doing is I was wearing a skirt at the time. I had to stick it in my skirt. I had no pockets. I was wearing a fanny pack. It wouldn't fit in there. So I just kind of had to stick it in my skirt and make sure it didn't fall out. But yeah, I managed to keep it. And it's really nice that I got this too because I ended up parking like, for whatever reason, I don't know why. There's plenty of parking available closer to the venue, but I parked like a block away and it was nighttime. And I was debating because I brought it with me, on the road trip home, but I was like, I don't know if they're going to make me throw away my mace, and I don't want to have to buy mace again because when I was in Little Rock, Arkansas, seeing August Burns Red, I brought my mace with me, obviously, for protection, and they made me throw it away. And I was like, well, okay, they didn't make me throw it away, but the fact that, so during that time, that was when I went with like 2 other people, but for whatever reason, I could not convince them to come stand in line with me when I wanted to. So I took a lift there, and obviously, I didn't have a car to deposit my mace in, so I had no choice but to throw it away, and I didn't want that to happen again. Because, even though I was parked nearby, like, I didn't want to have to be made to throw my mace away and, like, walk a block away and then walk back and then, like, lose my barrier spot that I was so eager to get. So I just ended up not bringing it with me. And so, having been parked a block away, I mean, Birmingham, I don't know. This is like the downtown Birmingham area. I don't know if it's, like, dangerous or whatever. I mean, people like to act like, which, I mean, I guess it really depends on who you ask, but people like to act like Jackson is, like, very dangerous. So, I mean, to some degree it is, but, like, anyways, it was nice having a whipping stick walking back to my car so I didn't feel vulnerable. But yeah, I got this for Make Them Suffer, and now I have to stream. I have no choice but to stream because I got a thing from them. But then after that, Erra finally came on, and I was like, oh yeah, Erra, I love Erra. I don't know what else to say. I love Erra. They're playing mostly stuff from Cure, obviously, because they'd just come out. But they also played a couple of older songs from, their past albums. Obviously, they play Eye of God. I think they've played it at every time that I've seen them. Actually, no. I don't think they played Eye of God when they opened up for Beartooth. But they played it definitely on their headlining tour. And I also think for when they opened for Bad Omens. I honestly can't remember. But anyways, what was I saying? Oh, they played some older songs. So they played Eye of God, which is like a standalone single from... When did this come out? Oh, don't start playing. Don't start playing! Oh my god, stop! I'm just trying to figure out when this came out. You know what? It's not important. Anyways, they played Eye of God. They played White Noise from... let's see, Impulse. And they played Dementia from, Augment. And they played Skyline from Drift. Which, honestly, that was really nice, because Skyline was, like, the first song that I heard from Erra back when, back before Spotify ruined their daily mixes. That would show up a lot in my daily mix, and I ended up liking it a lot, and that was kind of my introduction to Erra, and to have them, play that as, like, their kind of encore song, I thought that was nice. I thought that was heartwarming. I was really hoping that they would perform Night of Silence again, because I really love that song. They did not. In fact, they only played 2 songs from Self-Titled, 3. Gungrave, Scorpion Hymn, and Snowblood, which, I mean, slay, but I really, really love Night of Silence. But again, all of the sets were, like, really short for some reason. Like, this was maybe an hour, So something that I love. They did play Wish into Glimpse, which I was really hoping that they would do, and they did, and I'm so happy about that. I love that two song sequence so much. It's so good. Like, ooh, and I got most of it on camera, so I'm like, yes, I shall be returning to this one. What else? Yeah, they mostly just played songs from Cure. And it was fine because, again, I love Cure. Again, it's a no skip for me. So, honestly, I got everything I wanted. I got everything I wanted from that show. It could have been a little bit longer, but I don't know. I'm not really sure what determines how long a set is for them, but maybe it's the fact that they're like 3 opening bands, which is like a lot. And also, something that they did the last time I saw them headline in Birmingham is that they brought a like local band, which I for the life of me cannot remember the name of the band that they brought on tour with them, not on tour, that they brought with them in Birmingham. I can't remember the name of it. All I can remember is that, you know what, I don't know if I talked about it on like my old podcast, because again, my old podcast host would frequently have his eyes glaze over when I would talk anything music related. But I remember what I said was that, they remind me a lot of like Issues, in that they kind of had some, actually, no, not really Issues. They were more new metalcore in that they had like rapping parts, and it made me giggle when I first heard it. But honestly, they were good. I just can't remember the name of them. I'm gonna have to like go back and look, because I legitimately cannot remember. Because they were pretty decent, and they were from Birmingham, so I don't know. Anyways, yeah, that was my trip to Birmingham. It was pretty nice. I love seeing Erra. Any chance that I can see Erra, I will. They were selling merch, however, I'm not gonna lie, I was skin Tina. I was broke. I wasn't broke, but also like I had to, pay rent in like a few days. So I was like, ooh, I had seen that they were selling a signed edition of the Cure vinyl, and I was like, it was $50, and I was like, oh, I want it so bad, but like, I gotta pay my rent. So I was like, and also when I say that, me spending $50 would not make me unable to pay rent. I want to make that very clear. I always had the money. I just, you have to spend it wisely. I'm not like on my last $850. Like, no, I've never been in that position before. So I'm not being irresponsible with my money. Not that I really have to justify that to anyone, but I thought I would make that clear. So I didn't end up buying it, which is really sad. Whatever. It would have been really nice to go right next to my self-titled album, because there's just a spot right there on the wall where it could have gone. And to be completely honest, I think I like Cure more than self-titled. I think I can make that determination now. I think I like that sound, the way the sound has progressed from self-titled to Cure. I think I like it a little bit more. I think I can say that. But anywho, what else? There have been other local shows that I've been to. When was it? I saw this band from New York City. They're from Brooklyn, which, by the way, they didn't specify which Brooklyn they were from. They could have been from Brooklyn, Vermont, Brooklyn, Montana, Brooklyn, California. They didn't say, which tells you that they probably were from Brooklyn, New York, so never mind. What are they called? What are they called? Social Creatures. They are from Brooklyn. However, their drummer is from Mississippi. I don't know where from. I don't know if he was from Jackson or what. I think they just said he was from Mississippi, which I thought that was really nice. They came all the way from New York City down to good old Mississippi, kind of like a homecoming. That was nice. And the drummer like performed a song called Mississippi, and it was just like a little guitar ditty. There's no like percussion or anything like that. But I think if you're into like indie rock, you would really like Social Creatures. I'm trying to think of who to compare them to, because I don't really listen to indie rock a lot like that, but gosh, I don't know. I feel like Tumblr, God, I keep on peeking this mic, and I don't want to do that. Tumblr era indie rock, like I feel like if you know what I mean by that, then that might be a descriptor. Like 2015 I don't know, even 2013 to 2015 era Tumblr, like indie rock bands. Like that's kind of what it reminded me of. There was a guy playing a tambourine. Yeah, tambourine. A little tambourine and a keyboard. So there's some synths in there, guitar, bass, obviously, and drums. So I feel like, if you're into that vibe, it's pretty good. I liked it. I would recommend it. They are called Social Creatures. And a couple more local bands there. One that I've seen, I think a couple of times now, called Lady Gun. Yes, I have seen them a couple of times. I had to remember. Called Lady Gun. More of a traditional rock band, I would say. Kind of reminiscent of, I won't say psychedelic rock because that's definitely not it, but I'm trying to think. I don't know. When it comes to like the more to like rock genres, I'm like, I don't know. I'm a little out of my element in there. But you know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of Guitar Hero in a good way. Let me explain what I mean. So I obviously played Guitar Hero growing up quite a bit. I think it was specifically Guitar Hero 2, the one where the first song is what's the first song in Guitar Hero? Oh my god. Shout to the Devil. That one, that's like the first song that you play. And like that's like the beginner level song. It's either Shout to the Devil or Cherry Pie is like the first like song in, I believe it's Guitar Hero 2 for the PlayStation 2. If you know, you know. But like that kind of music that I was, listening to and playing in Guitar Hero 2 specifically, that is what it reminded me of. And I thought that was pretty nostalgic, honestly. I liked it. Very talented group of individuals in that band. I liked it a lot. Let's see. Kicking. I don't know if I've talked about Kicking on the pod because I've seen them 3 or 4 times now, and I like Kicking a lot. I really do. And they have quite a bit of music. I have talked about Kicking before. They have some music out. I haven't really like sat down and listened to Kicking though, which I really should. I think I might gain like a whole new appreciation for them if I did that. But I do really like Kicking a lot. They were there. It's always nice to see them. And who else? I feel like I'm forgetting someone. Oh, a band called Headcanon, which as I was walking into the venue, which this was at Holland Mouse here. As I was walking into the venue, someone like waved at me, and I was like, "Hey!" I didn't know that they like recognized me. But again, since I have started Jackson Underground, I have been getting recognized a lot more than I was previously. Which is to say, previously I was not at all. So it's a new feeling. But yeah, one of the guitarists. Hold on, I'm trying to remember. No, it's the guitarist because it's guitar, bass, and drums. That's the only people that's in there. So the guitarist he told me his name and I straight up forgot it. I always forget names. All the time. I can remember faces. I can remember what you do, where you're from, all types of stuff. But your name, you're gonna have to wait on that one because the chances of me remembering it are not great. Not gonna lie. I hate that. I hate that I can't remember names. But he told me his name. I totally forgot it. And he like shook my hand. I was like, oh, this is cool. I guess. Thanks. I'm gonna have to change my battery probably. I hope it doesn't die while I'm doing this, but it probably will. Can I just say, diverge a little bit. Tascam really needs to make, like, you know what? What I could do is I could just buy rechargeable batteries, but I don't, so that's totally on me. But anyways, I hate how this dang Tascam recorder, like, eats up batteries. It's so annoying. Anywho. But yeah, at the show, I got recognized, like, twice. Like, first by the guitarist in Headcanon, and then as Social Creatures was on, there's this lady standing next to me, and like as they're performing, and I have my camera with me, by the way, I was like taking pictures. She turns to me and she's like, "I love your blog, by the way." And I'm like, "What? Huh?" And I say like, "Huh?" And she's like, "Your blog, your Jackson Underground, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And she's like, "I love it, you're doing great stuff." And I'm like, "Oh, thank you." Which I don't know how long it's gonna take for me to get used to this, but I am constantly Well, not constantly because it's not happening all that much, but when it does happen, I am being jump scared by people like realizing who I am and what I do. And listen, it's just gonna take some time for me to get used to because it's not something that I'm used to being spotted in public and being recognized for what I do. Um, which I mean, it's really interesting because I've posted maybe two pictures of myself on my Instagram stories, and I guess people see them. I mean, duh, I can see when people see my Instagram stories, but it's like, you know, I don't know. Does part of me wish, or not wish, but miss being able to move through this life incognito? Maybe. But also, it's not like people are telling me to go F myself. People are like appreciating what I'm doing. So it's like, it's not that bad. It could be a lot worse. It could be a lot worse. I could be Drake right now. I, I mean, I couldn't, but that could be the vibe. Anyways, that was a nice little gig. That next night there was not really a surprise show. It wasn't a surprise, but a sort of last minute show. My besties in Measureless Aeons, they had a charity show. Well, there was already a charity show going on in like earlier in the day, but I guess the way that it worked out is that they had the venue for a little bit longer, like into the night. So they're like, okay, we'll put on like a charity metal show, and that's what they ended up doing. And that was Friday. That was Friday, and there was Measureless Aeons as well as one other band and one other musician. So the first person that went on was a synth musician called Plague Burner. And apparently that was their first ever time like performing, but they've been, at it for a while. And I don't know how to describe the music, but all I know is that I felt like I was being hypnotized. I felt like I was being hypnotized, and I could not take my eyes off of what this guy was doing. So the way that it's set up, what it is, and I'm not really super familiar with synth music, but it's a modular synth. So basically, there is this big suitcase, and it's got a bunch of knobs, and it's got a bunch of like plugs and stuff. And he was basically just doing that, improvising that for, I guess, like 30 minutes. I don't know. But it was like mesmerizing. I don't know. I kind of love synth music like that. Like, I felt like I was being hypnotized. That's the only way that I can describe it. And it was like, oh my God. I felt like I could listen to that until the sun came up. Like, I could stand there, because I was standing. I could stand there and listen to that. And in the window, I could see the sun come up, and that's like how mesmerized I was by that. Like, whoa, it was kind of intense. I'm not gonna lie. Really great, by the way. I don't know if he has like music out or anything like that, but he does have an Instagram, and I shall tell you what it is in a minute. I believe it's just Plague Burner, but I also don't know. Which is why I'm looking it up. Let me see. Yes, it is just Plague Burner. Nope. What did I just say? Did I say Plague Burner? I'm wrong. I'm a wrongin'. Where? It's not Plague Burner. That's the name of another band that played. Hold on. Hold the phone. Hold up. Let's see. Date followed latest. It was Grave Member. Okay, to be fair, they're similar. Grave Member. That was the synth artist, and it's literally just at Gravemember, Gravemember, and he's a synth artist. And let me see, there's some links here. I didn't actually look at them. Okay, so there's a Spotify. Yeah. Okay, so there is some music out by Gravemember. Tracks are really long. Hold on. I don't know if it's just this one album. Let's see. It's called... What is this? So there's an album called Looming Spirits. There's an EP from 2019. Is this a single? This is a single. Yeah, there's some stuff out there. Only 7 monthly listeners, by the way, which, I don't know. I liked it a lot. What can I say? And I believe they're from Jackson. If they're not from Jackson, they're at least from Mississippi. Let me go see. Is that on the grams of Insta? It is not. I'm assuming he's local. So yeah, but that's Grave Member. Now to switch gears to Plague Burner, different band. That was a Ansley was describing it to me, and I totally forgot what he said about the genre, but it's like black post metal, something like that. Sort of the black metal elements are in there, but also perhaps post metal. I'm not really sure. I can't remember. But basically, it's made up of members of a few other Vicksburg bands, namely Beneath the Kudzu. I'm gonna see if this is also on their Instagram. So this is actually Plague Burner. Yes, so members from Beneath the Kudzu, Chief City, False Gods, and Lane Cognita, which I don't know if you've. Let me see. I feel like Beneath the Kudzu is a pretty prominent band in Vicksburg. I don't know. If you're from Vicksburg, and if you're in the Vicksburg metal scene, if you're in the Mississippi metal scene, period, you've probably heard of Beneath the Kudzu. And yeah, like a couple other bands, and they're really good live. I liked seeing them a lot. The vocalist can really hit those like high squealies, high, whatever, high squealies, high squealing screams, like really high pitched screams, which I liked a lot. I like that kind of almost not quite feral, but like, just I don't know. I'm really bad at describing things, I have realized, which, it's funny because, I'm a writer and everything, but I'm really bad at describing things, but it's different because with writing, I get to think about it for a little while. With talking, whatever happens, happens. Anyways, I like the vocalist of Plague Burner, who I believe is also the vocalist of Beneath the Kudzu. I've seen him before. And I've seen Beneath the Kudzu perform before, and, I recognize him, so that's why I'm making the connection, but I could be wrong. I could be so wrong. I don't know, okay? Anyways, and of course, I saw my good Judies in Measureless Aeons, which, by the way, I don't think I've posted about it, but I've written an article about Measureless Aeons, which has gotten a lot of really high praise from them and others. I remember as I was sitting there waiting for the show to start, Ansley was telling me, like, your article was so good, and I'm not just saying that just because it's about me, but it's really well written, and it's like, first of all, thank you, but also, I don't know, I didn't think I did anything spectacular with it. I thought it was just normal. What can I say? And honestly, to be completely honest with that one, it took me a while to figure out how I was actually going to structure it, because the interview that I did was like not quite an hour, but it was close to an hour. And not only that, but we had spent like 2 hours talking. So trying to take all of that and like put that into a cohesive article with like a story was, not gonna lie, kind of hard. But I really like learning how to do that kind of thing, take an interview and like turn that into a story. So, it's been a very, very useful learning experience for me. I could definitely say that. And I do think the article turned out really well. And people really liked it. So I'm eternally grateful for people liking that. And I have another artifact. So I don't even think, yes, I did. Did I talk about Measureless Aeon? Well, okay, I definitely talked about their demo because they had sent it to me like in March. So I definitely talked about it, but it's actually out now. It's called Passages. You can find it on anywhere. You find it anywhere. Bandcamp, Spotify. It's on YouTube. I saw that some random account had like uploaded the whole like EP to YouTube, which I thought was interesting. And also, they have a cassette tape. They have like a cassette tape. And I was given this one. This was given to me. It was a gift. I like it so much. And, the album art is honestly really good. I really like the album art. It's very, I don't know. I'm not gonna lie, it's very doomy. And their music is not very doomy. But I do still like it. Yeah, it's called Passages. It's a legit cassette tape. Now, I have no way to verify whether or not this works because I don't own a cassette player, but yeah, it's a literal tape. And believe it or not, there are a not insignificant amount of not only like larger bands, but like small indie bands releasing cassette tapes, because not only does Measureless Aeons have one, but Clitter Critters, another group that I've written about, also released a tape out of a UK publisher. And this one was made by Hauntology Records. I'm not sure where they're based out of. They're based out of the United States, but I'm not sure where aside from that. But yeah, physical media, it's fun. Like, there are definitely people still making CDs, but tapes and, vinyls as well. But freaking tapes. Honestly, I might want to start collecting tapes. Because again, well, okay, to be fair, I don't have any way to play any of the vinyls that I have, but they're still really nice to have. I think I might like collecting tapes because, well, for starters, I mean, they take up a lot less space than a vinyl. And I mean, I'm not going to hang this up on my wall, but I think it would be nice to have like a tape shelf or something like that. Which, by the way, this one shelf that I have is starting to get really full. So I think I'm going to have to like buy another shelf at some point because my trinkets are starting to take up a lot of space. But I really think it would be nice to start collecting tapes. And I mean, this tape costs like $5. Like, they were selling this for $5, I think. Either $5 or $10. Either way, not a lot of money. Clitter Critters were selling their tape for £6, which is like, I think it's like $7 or something like that. Again, less than $10. So like, if you want to get into collecting physical media, I think tapes would be a nice place to start. Of course, tapes, if you're trying to get into like vintage stuff, I mean, tapes start maybe in like the 80s, whereas vinyl goes back a little bit farther than that. But I'm not really into collecting vintage stuff. There's nothing vintage music-wise that I'd really like to own, if I'm being honest. So I think if you're getting into collecting physical media, tapes is a really nice place to start. They're nice and compact. You could put them on a shelf, and they're just so nice to look at. I look at this and I'm like, just like I look at my Juggernaut vinyls and I go, isn't that nice? So yeah, first of all, thank you, Ansley, for giving me this for free. Like, you really didn't have to do this, but you did anyways, and that makes me feel special. What can I say? Shout out to all of Measureless Aeons, all such nice guys. Really nice interviewing them, and it's always a pleasure seeing them perform live. But that performance that I was at, it was this past Friday, probably gonna be their last in a while because, like I detailed in the article, which you're just gonna have to read at jacksonunderground.com, that's jacksonunderground.com, they're working on new music, so they're stepping back from performing as much as they were. And yeah, fun times. So yeah, those are some of the shows that I've seen in the past however long since I recorded the last podcast episode. And by the time this episode comes out on Wednesday, I will be traveling down to New Orleans, to see The Amity Affliction perform Let the Ocean Take Me in full. I'm so geeked for that. Like, I haven't really been thinking about it because it is really, like, at a weird time, like, smack dab in the middle of the week. And, of course, I've had, like, a lot of other stuff going on. But I'm gonna see them perform Let the Ocean Take Me in full. Like, that's definitely a top 15 album for me. I don't know how I'm gonna keep it together. Like I said in the episode titled Crying in the Pit, where I first talk about, the tickets for that show going on sale, I can't guarantee that when Give It All starts playing, I won't be boohooing at the barrier. Instead of crying in the pit, I'll be boohooing at the barrier. Because first of all, I'm not getting in nobody's pit. Like, listen, they're not spin kicking. Well, actually, I can't guarantee that. But also at the same time, The Amity Affliction, especially Let the Ocean Take Me, are you really moshing to that? Like, I'm trying to think about it, and I don't think so. I would be surprised if I saw it. It's kind of an emotional album, kind of a, somber, reflective type of album. And like, yeah, there are breakdowns, but are you really headbanging the sadness? Some people are. Some people definitely are, but I'll be boohooing at the barrier. I shall. Which, it's mostly a joke. I probably won't. I don't cry unless there's something like seriously wrong. So if I'm boohooing at the barrier, I need to like reel it back and figure out what's going on because something ain't right, But genuinely juiced for that one. And I'll be able to see Dying Wish for a second time. I saw them open for The Devil Wears Prada again on my birthday. And Currents. I'm not like a huge Currents fan, but there's like one song that I like from theirs from I Let the Devil In, the opening track. Pretty solid. I hope they play it. If they don't, I'll be sad, but that's what I'm hoping for. But oh my god, you guys. What I'm about to say, I'm so excited for. You have no idea what I'm about to say that I am so excited for because I haven't said it yet. But when I say it, I think you'll understand why I'm so excited. Like, I'm smiling so hard right now because this is going to be so amazing. Okay, so how did I even find out about this? I can't even remember like how I found out about it. I got an email from Bands in Town. Shout out to Bands in Town for telling me which bands are going to be in town and when. Animals as Leaders. My good sis, Animals as Leaders, is going to be performing The Joy of Motion in full for its 10th anniversary, and I'm so happy about it. However, I went through the list of stops that they had, and I was like, oh, none of them are going to be near me. But I was like, let me go on southwest.com, see what the deal is. So they have a show in Atlanta on November, I believe it's the 23rd. I can't remember. It's in November. Hold on. Let me actually look. Yes, it's November 23rd. I will be seeing Animals as Leaders perform The Joy of Motion in full in hot Atlanta. It probably won't be hot by the time November comes. I hope not. If it's still hot in November, like, what are we doing? Disrespectfully, what are we doing? I'm talking directly to the atmosphere. But I'll be not staying. Ooh, let me not do that. I will be traveling to Atlanta to see Animals as Leaders like the week before Thanksgiving, which is crazy, by the way. Because I have no idea what I'm doing for Thanksgiving this year, but we'll figure it out when we figure it out. But I know what I'm doing the week before Thanksgiving. I'll be seeing Animals as Leaders performing The Joy of Motion in full in Atlanta at the Masquerade, which is a venue I have not been to. But, everybody and their mama, they got to perform at the Masquerade. So, and when I say what I'm about to say, some people, they might be like, ooh, Erin, why'd you waste your money like that? I'm flying there. I'm getting on a plane. I'm getting flued out. I'm fluing myself out, but still getting flued out to Atlanta because, listen, I know that people drive from Jackson to Atlanta all the time. People do it all the time. There's a direct line. Take I-20, just keep on going. I don't care. I'm not doing that. It's 6 hours. I refuse to stay on the road in a car for 6 hours. I don't know how that makes me sound, probably as someone who doesn't like driving, which is accurate. I don't like driving. I hate it. In fact, I don't like doing long distances. It's detestable and a waste of time. Which, okay, waste of time is maybe debatable, but it is detestable. I don't like it. And, the amount of near accidents that I've been on Dwight D. Eisenhower's interstates is far too much. I don't know if I can do that. 6 hours from here to Atlanta is insane. And I was telling my coworkers about it, and he was like, why would you fly? Why can't you just drive? I drive all the time. And it's like, that may be true, but also you drive to Atlanta on a lark. You drive to Texas whenever. Like, I'm not about to do that. I cannot do that, especially if I'm going by myself. Like, no, thank you. I refuse. I refuse. I'm not doing that. Sorry. And also, it's my money. I'll use it when I need it. um, yeah, I'm flying from. I've never been in the Jackson Airport, by the way, which I've heard it can be a little rough up in Medgar Wiley Evers International Airport. But I feel like yeah, week before Thanksgiving in an airport, it's definitely a choice, but it's a choice that I'm willing to make. It's either that or drive for a combined 12 hours on the road. I'm not doing that. So yes, I am flying. And I had some flight credits. Okay, I do know where they came from. They came from my dad, but I think I was gonna fly somewhere at some point, and then that flight got canceled or something like that. I can't remember the circumstances of it, but I have flight credit. So I use that. So I had to pay about $100. Whatever, it's fine. Book me a little hotel. I'm getting flued out. And I shall not be driving in Atlanta either. Like, that's also wild and crazy. And thankfully, I was able to find, a pretty decent flight to get there. And it's like, I'm about to be in these airplanes this year. I'm gonna be in these airplanes. And also, I'm not gonna lie, I do like flying. I think I like it. I don't know, there's something really, I don't know, fancy about it, about getting on a plane. Maybe it's because I'm not someone who flies very often, but I love an airport. I love an airport. I love an airplane. I don't know. I like planes. What can I say? I like planes. I like trains as well, but I also like planes. I haven't been on trains enough to have an accurate read on that, but I love a good plane. I love a good plane. I don't know. Now, was I legitimately panicking when when I flew from California to Hawaii? Yes, I was. Because you're flying for 5 hours over nothing but water. I think any sane person would freak out about that. So, this is a much shorter flight, thankfully. Literally only crossing, like 2 states. So, you're not spending a whole lot of time in the air, but I love a good plane. I might have a little bit, just a teeny weeny bit, of flight anxiety. Despite that, I do love a good plane. Like, and the whole Boeing thing, not really helping, but I still love a good plane. I love a plane. I love flying. I love being in the air. I love going to places I've never been before. I have been to Atlanta before. But most of the time when I'm in a plane, I'm going somewhere I've never been before. And I love that vibe. I love it a lot. What can I say? I love a plane. So yeah, I'm going to be flying to Atlanta to see Animals as Leaders in person. And you know what? I know I said, on previous episodes, like, ooh, if Periphery goes on tour, I'm buying the plane ticket. They, I think, are currently on tour. I have not bought the plane ticket because, it's just, first of all, not a lot of dates, and also just, like, too close to, like, 2 of these shows that I'm going to. So it's, like, to the Erra one and to the Amity Affliction one. So it's, like, I couldn't work it out. I really couldn't work it out, unfortunately. And I was like, oh, if what are these people called? If Animate goes on their little 10th anniversary tour, I will also get flued out. But I'm not gonna lie, y'all. Listen, I'm not losing hope. I'm not. But they haven't announced a single thing yet. Nothing's been announced. Currently, tours are getting announced into the end of the year. So it's like, I want them to go on tour for Everchanger. It's gonna take a lot more than wanting, I think. I don't know what it's gonna take. What's it gonna take for them to do it? I don't know. Money, probably. The answer is money. I don't have the money it requires to do that. So if I made it big, if I had the money, if I won the lottery, I don't know if this sounds crazy, but I think what I would do is that I would commission I would commission them to come here to perform Ever Changer in full. Which, I mean, who knows if they would even agree to that, but if the price is right, people will do what it takes. But I haven't won the lottery. So, I'm just gonna have to hope. But the amount of serotonin, the amount of dopamine injected straight into my brain when I saw Animals as Leaders on Juneteenth was unmatched. So when I saw that they were going on tour again, I couldn't say no. I couldn't. I had to, Which, I mean, if it were gonna be like a Europe only tour, then it's like I don't have a valid passport, so I literally have no choice but to say no. However, I feel like by the time November comes, I don't know how long it takes to get a passport, which technically I would only have to get mine renewed. I have one. It's not valid anymore. I just have to get it renewed. So, I don't know. It might not be that long. Like, it won't take until November, I would hope, to get my passport renewed, which, I don't know, probably should do that. But, like, how much international travel am I doing? None. I'm not doing any. So, maybe in 2025. Maybe 2025 will be the year that I go international. Who knows? I don't. Probably not, though. I don't know what the future holds. I truly don't. The future could be bright for me. Who's to say? Who's to say? Anyways, I am really excited about that. It's like all the way in November, literally towards the end of the year. And we haven't even made it like to halfway through the year. And there's already, like, the rest of my year is like booked up, which is crazy. I don't have anything in June or July yet. And I don't have anything in December, which, I mean, December is kind of a crapshoot for traveling anyway. So it's like, no. I don't think I would want to do that anyways, but I'm going places. I'm going to be in these streets, on these airplanes, on these trains, going places, and I'm so happy about that. 2024 is the year that I'm going somewhere. 2025 might be the year that I sit down somewhere. I don't know. We don't know yet. The future is unknowable. Anyways, I'm so happy about that. And Plenty is opening for them, which, I hear Plenty in the Animals as Leaders radio on Spotify, and honestly, I like them. A little bit more than Sean, which I don't know how you say this. It's not Chon. It can't be Chon. It has to be Sean. Chon. Which, I'm not gonna lie, automatic skip for me, Sean, unfortunately. Hate that. Oopsie. But, I don't know. I don't like the vibe. That's really it. But Plenty might be goated. Now, another thing that I might have a hand in, I don't know yet. It's really tentative. Which, honestly, I'm not really, like, the one in charge of doing anything here. Really, I just put something out and I was like, let's see what happens. So I was going through my old concert videos that I have on my phone, and, I wanted to post something from Animals as Leaders to my Instagram stories, because I thought the people need to know about Animals as Leaders. If they don't know, they need to, And this is not long after I had, booked my trip to see them in November. And, I also saw the band that opened up for them on Juneteenth, the Jonathan Skills Orchestra, which is so, I've talked about them on the pod before. There's a whole short, me describing them. So if you don't know who the Jonathan Skills Orchestra is, it's called the Orchestra, but I really think it is just the three of them. It's Jonathan the Scales, that's on the steel drums, a bassist, and a guitarist. And they're from New York, I believe. Either from New York or like that. Not Baltimore. They're from New York. Never mind. They're from New York. And I saw them opening for Animals as Leaders. I'm like, oh my God, this is like really good. And I, saw those videos again. And I was like, man, I bet not a lot of people know about the Jonathan Scales Orchestra. I don't have a huge following on Instagram. It has been growing very quickly, but again, it's not like huge. So I thought, I'll post a clip of the Jonathan Scales Orchestra, and I thought about it because I, looked them up online to see if they're touring at all, and they are. They tour a lot, actually. And I was like, man, I wonder how hard it would be to get Jonathan Scales to come to Jackson. Because I can't remember where they're touring. They're going on a tour in like May, which is this month. I can't remember all the stops they're taking. They might be stopping in New Orleans. There's one stop in New Orleans, and I think one stop in Tennessee, but they're like one after the other, so there would be like no time in between for them to, do that. But I was like, man, I think it would be really goated if the Jonathan Scales Orchestra would come to Jackson. And so I posted on my stories and I added them. And I was like, man, I wonder how easy it would be or how hard it would be to get Jonathan Scales to come to Jackson. And like minutes after that, I get a DM from Jonathan the Scales being like, hey, how can we make this happen? I was like, oh my God, whoa, this is also like a new emotion for me because, a lot of the times when I'm doing things on the internet, especially on twitter.com and also sometimes on YouTube, there's no guarantee that anybody will see it. Sometimes I feel like I truly am screaming into the void, especially on Twitter. So having, to be fair, I did add him, but I had no idea he would see it. But he saw that and he was like, yeah, who do I need to talk to? So the two booking people that I know around here, I let one of them know. And I don't know if I am the catalyst for getting Jonathan Scales Orchestra. The Jonathan Scales Orchestra, it's a mouthful. What can I say? If I'm the catalyst for getting the Jonathan Scales Orchestra to come to Jackson, oh my God, that would be so dope. I would love for them to come down here. Like, oh, that would be so much fun. Oh, it'd be so much fun. Oh, I would love it. I would love it a lot. But, I don't do bookings. I don't know how that works. So I'm going to leave it in somebody else's hands, and hopefully they will do that for me. I think it'd be really nice. And I think people around here would really enjoy it. It is very unconventional, being that it's a band with steel pans in it. But, they have an NPR Tiny Desk concert. Like, that's pretty dope, I think. I think that would be dope. Okay, I really need to shoot my shot more. Not like, in the conventional sense, but like, I don't know, maybe if I at a band hard enough, they'll see what I'm saying and they'll just like come to Jackson. Maybe it might be fun. I don't know. So I don't know how long I've been going for. Those are all of my musical related topics that I have for this one, but I did have one non-music related topic that I wanted to talk about, which is kind of a throwback for me personally. So, oh goodness, back in literally 4 years ago, back in 2020, around not April, maybe May 2020, I had made a video, and this was so long ago. This is when I was still in college. Oof. I had made a video about a job experience that I had had for this one company called Valnet Incorporated, which if you know me from my main YouTube channel, then you'll already know that I am Valnet's number one op. So, that needs some introduction. But considering I have a lot of people here now that don't know me from YouTube, I made a video back in 2020 talking about this experience that I had working for what was essentially a content farm, and how, it felt really shady. And I kind of just wanted to like expose all of that because I was unemployed and I had the time. What can I say? Oh man, the amount of stuff that I talked about on YouTube when I was just like unemployed and had the time is crazy. I wish I had the time. Even when I was working my old job, I had the time. Now, no time. But back then, I had the time. I had the time and I had the patience. All right. So I'm not going to recap the like whole thing, but I had made a video talking about them. It did really well for my channel. Currently it has I want to say 13 or 14,000 views, which is a lot for me. And I've had a not insignificant amount of comments on that video telling me that my video stopped them from applying at Valnet as, a writer for them or a contractor or whatever. And so for the uninitiated, they have a lot. They have a lot of blogs and they have a lot of YouTube channels under their belt. So Valnet is the parent company, but they own things like Screen Rant, Comic Book Review. I can't really think of any other like prominent ones, but Screen Rant is definitely the most prominent one that they own. That's under their like banner. And something that I've kind of is this lowering? No. Something that I've kind of, yes it is. Come back up. Something I've kind of realized is that they're constantly acquiring new properties, so their portfolio is just like growing and growing. But I detailed my experience working for them, which, by the way, it was like 2 weeks. And essentially, what led me to thinking they're kind of sketch was that, number one, when I had reached out to them, to their email, being like, hey, here's my resume, here's my reel, here's all the stuff, I didn't expect to hear from them for a while because, with like 99% of the job listings that I've responded to when I was searching for jobs, the ones that did respond to me took a few days up to a few weeks to actually respond back. But to my tremendous surprise, and I had to go back and watch my old videos to remember some of the stuff, but after I emailed them, they emailed me back 7 minutes later. Like, less than 10 minutes later, I got an email back being like, oh, your stuff is so great. Come work for us. Same day, within the day, between me reaching out to them and me getting my contract. Actually, I think that might have been about 2 days, now that I think about it, but still really fast that I was hired. And they tried to hire me as an independent contractor, and they also tried to hire me under a 2-year contract, which I thought was kind of sketch, but I signed the contract anyways because I was like, how old was I at the time? I think I was like 19, and I was in college. COVID had like just started, and I was like, I don't want to be sitting here in the house doing nothing. I want to get an internship because that was my plan anyways. Before COVID had started, I wanted to get an internship because I don't know, I didn't want to be doing nothing. I wanted to be trying to advance my career, even though I was still in college. And so yada yada yada, whoop-de-whoop-de-woo. Essentially, what they had me do was that they had me take other people's videos off of YouTube to use in their videos. And they specifically instructed me to crop out the watermarks, which is very shady, by the way. You're not supposed to do that. You're very much not supposed to do that. And for a YouTube channel that at the time had 8 million subscribers and had, a whole parent company, I thought, that's sus. And then there was a whole thing where another content creator was like, Valnet basically ripped off my video. I saw that. We had this whole all hands meeting for our specific publication where, I can't really remember what was said. It's been 4 years at this point, and even by the time I made the video, which was like a few weeks after everything had happened, I still can remember. So, but they had mentioned that, they had lowered the, I guess, not really salary, but lowered the per video cost for video editors. I believe at the time, and this was back in 2020, at the time they were paying 156 Canadian dollars, which is roughly 111 US dollars. I'm not sure what it is now. I don't know if that's fluctuated like a lot since then. But they were paying, we'll make it a nice round number, $110 per video, which at the time I thought that was a lot. I thought I could make like a few videos a week and have like just $400 like a week, and I thought that was gonna be a sweet deal. But I only ever got first of all, I only ever worked for them for like maybe 2 weeks officially, and I only ever worked on one video for them because it took them a long time for them to like assign me something to work on, which I thought was weird. what was I saying? But to kind of put that in comparison now, as someone who video edits for a living, now I will say I'm not paid on a per project basis. I'm paid hourly. So it is a little bit different, but if we were to break it down, so the videos, the things that I edit now, they are at maximum 30 seconds because I'm making commercials. So they're going to be 30 seconds maximum. But a lot of the times I end up spending, it could take me 2 to 3 days to work on something if we're not factoring in revisions. If we are factoring in revisions, it could take maybe up to a week for me to like finish a commercial. So, and the amount of work that, I put into the spots that I make, I feel like, for what I'm compensated for at my job, which, by the way, editing is not like the only thing I do at work. I script write a lot of almost all of the spots that I make, I write them, which again, only 30 seconds, but still, writing something that short, it's definitely a skill. It's definitely a skill that you have to acquire because it's not easy. Believe it or not, writing a 30-second script is surprisingly hard. But sometimes I will shoot stuff as well, so camera operating, stuff like that. So, basically running the gamut from script to screen, I'm basically the one doing that. And, obviously sometimes I'll collaborate with some of my other coworkers to work on stuff. But for the most part, I wouldn't say I'm fully a one-man band. Because, obviously there's other people on my team. But when it comes to the spots that I make, I would say I'm a one-man band. And I don't know how much I get paid a week. It's definitely more than $110. I will say that. But I get paid... Overall, I get paid more for, if we were to break it down, which again, I don't get paid on a per project basis, so it's not a one-to-one comparison, but I would hazard a guess to say that I get paid more to make a 30-second spot than they were going to pay me to make a up to 10-minute video, because obviously back in those days, you had to get it 10 minutes to get monetized on YouTube, so a 10-minute video, 100 and however many dollars, $110, $111, that's not really a lot. I'm not gonna lie. And their writers for their blogs were getting it way worse, because at the time they were paying, I believe, about not 10,000, if only. They were paying $10 per 1,000 words. And since then they have definitely lowered it to, I believe, $7. The last I've seen it was $7. But, not super great considering they have, their whole operation, basically. They could, if Valnet wanted to, they could scale down their operation by so much because, again, they have a lot of properties under their belt. When I made that video about them in 2020, they had a lot, and now they have even more because they keep on acquiring properties. They could scale down their operations to just a few key publications, like Screen Rant. I think they have Game Rant as well. Have a few of the ones that, do the best, right? And they could hire staff writers, they could hire staff videographers and stuff like that to make content for them and still get out pretty well. But, because they're run like a content farm, they're hiring all these people all over the freaking place to work for them and pay them very little and not give them benefits. So another thing that I wanted to mention about Valnet, and I'm bringing this up because something recent has happened, but I'm getting there. Something that I wanted to bring up is that, like I said in my original video, they instruct you. You are specifically instructed to go on other people's YouTube channels, go on just google.com and pull stuff from the internet to use in your videos, which you cannot do. That's not how it's done. It really is not how it's done. And we're also specifically instructed to crop out watermarks and not show, watermarks and stuff like that in our videos. And not too long, well, it was actually pretty It was like in 2022. This was the end of 2022. So like 2-ish years ago, not quite 2 years, 1.5 years ago. I'll say that 1.5 years ago, I can't remember what I was doing, but I remember what it was. So I turned the script for that video into an article and put it on my Medium at the time. And that Medium article has gotten a lot of traction. I haven't checked on it yet, but I've gotten a not insignificant amount of people coming specifically to the article, not even the video, just the article itself, being like, hey, this article, again, deterred me from working at Valnet, which is like crazy. And so I wanted to see where in the search results my video and the article came up. So I was looking and I saw a listing on Justia, which is like a database, I guess, of like court cases that was, and at the time, recent filing for a copyright infringement court case, which in my original video, I theorized like, at some point, there's probably going to be some kind of class action lawsuit or something like that for copyright infringement because they are really just stealing people's stuff. And so the name of the case was Oppenheimer v. Valnet Inc. et al., which means and others. And, there's this photographer that's saying like, hey, Valnet or someone working at Valnet like stole my pictures, cropped out the watermarks, put them on their website. I think it was like the richest or whatever. Didn't credit me. That's copyright infringerino. I want my recourse. And eventually it was kind of long and probably boring. I don't know how copyright infringement cases go, but they ended up settling out of court. However, by the time I realized they ended up settling out of court, I had seen on Justia there were like 10 more copyright infringement cases against them, and it's like they are getting the pantsuit off of them for copyright infringement. It's crazy. It's kind of wild and wacky. They are getting sued so much for copyright infringement. They're probably still getting sued so much for copyright infringement, like as I am speaking, but a little bit recently, there has been a class action lawsuit against Valnet. This time, not for copyright infringement, but it's the exact same thing. And I was so gooped when I was watching the original video that I called it 4 years previously. But at the time in 2020, I think it was Uber and Lyft were getting sued by their drivers to, instead of being labeled as independent contractors, to be labeled employees so that they could get benefits. Claiming that they weren't getting paid enough for the work that they were doing and stuff like that. And I can't remember how that case played out exactly, but I do know that, Uber and Lyft drivers, they're not classified as employees. They're still contractors. But basically, what I think was the purpose of Uber and Lyft doing that is that, it really separates. First of all, they don't have to give them benefits. So it's cheaper to have these people drive for them versus having employees who you need to give health insurance and like normal wages. But also, I think it frees them from a lot of liability from the kinds of things that can happen in Ubers and Lyfts. They could be like, that's not our employee. That's just some contractor. Like, that's not our fault. Anything that happens in a person driving for Uber, not our fault. Not our fault. That kind of thing. And so what's going on now, and I made a short about it on my main channel, was that they're being sued for exactly the same thing Uber and Lyft are being sued for, labeling the people that work for them, the people that make content for them, as independent contractors and not employees. And unfortunately, I've not read the filing of the lawsuit. I have wanted to do a more deep dive into this, but unfortunately, I lack the time to do so. I do really want to, but when I found out about all this, because I think someone left a comment on a YouTube video talking about a creator, which again I'm going to get to, that was like, I saw that the morning that I was going to drive to Alabama, so I was like, dang it, I can't focus on any of this. Like, crap, this would be such a good little weekend project for me to like look into this and make a video about it, but like I'm going somewhere, so it's like, unfortunate. But what was I saying? Yeah, they're getting sued for labor violations, which I think is really funny. really even more funny that I like called it 4 years ago that they were gonna get sued the same way that Uber and Lyft were getting sued. Um, and also like it's a long time coming. Like it's, from the things that I've heard from people who have commented on my video, or the one person who DM'd me, talking about how they got fired from Valnet, or the various things that I see on the net. I still get sent negative reviews from Valnet on Glassdoor to my email for some reason. Again, I don't think I ever like signed up for these updates, but I constantly get them and I always read them and they're always funny because they're always negative. And they're not always from contractors, but they are mostly from contractors and they have a lot of negative reviews for working for them. So, what was I saying? Yeah, I think it's funny they're getting sued for labor violations, and I'm really interested to see where that goes. I don't know if they're going to settle it out of court. I would imagine after getting sued like every single day for copyright infringement. I mean, copyright law and employment law, a little bit different. So, but they're not spending any of their money on paying their contractors, and the money has to go somewhere, and I would imagine it's going to their lawyers because they're getting sued all of the time. All the time. And so this leads us to, most recently, there was a YouTuber named Fireborn who put out a video. It was an hour-long video, and I only know it's an hour long. It's no longer available. I only know it's an hour long because I saw it on some random forum where someone had posted the video, and they posted the duration of it. It's about 58 minutes or something like that. Close to an hour. It's close to an hour long. Where he had interviewed, I think the video title was like interviewing people who've worked for Valnet. Now, I don't know what this guy's beef with Valnet is. I don't know, if he's similarly on Packwatch like I am, but, he has interviewed people who work for Valnet. That video is no longer available because Valnet took it down. And that was what I had seen that Friday morning as I was leaving to go to Alabama. And I really hate that I haven't been able to look into it any closer. I would love to. Again, I would love to do a deep dive on it, but that situation has gotten quite a bit of notoriety. I had people commenting on, again, my 4-year-old video talking about how it was probably going to get a lot more traction because of the Fireborn situation, and that's what caused me to actually look into it. And, I'm glad more people are finding out just how bad of a content farm Valnet is because, even though my video got a little bit of traction, I would imagine Fireborn's got way more because I will say this, Valnet did idly try to take down my video. What they ended up doing is that in a section of my video, I have a screen recording or a screenshot of the About Us section on Screen Rant, one of their websites. And it's basically like, the staff section or whatever like that. So it has like their staff editors, their managing editors, their, above the line people are listed there, plus their like contact info. And that's easily found on Screen Rant's website. You go to the About Us section and it's right there. But what Valnet ended up doing is that they filed a privacy violation complaint on the video for the parts that I showed the contact information, which again was publicly available on the website. So in order to, not have my video nuked, I ended up putting a blur on that part of the video, which was lame, but the video's still up. 4 years later, the video's still up. People are still watching it. I get comments on that video every so often. It's still relevant. My Medium article is still up. They can't privacy violation that because, it's not like I'm exposing private information anyways. Things that would actually be private. I'm just talking about my experience working for a company. And I find it really sus that they don't want people to know what it's like to work for them. It would be like if BuzzFeed copyright struck all of the Why I Left BuzzFeed videos. It would look really bad on them. Even though, I haven't watched a single Why I Left BuzzFeed video, but I imagine they left because They didn't want to be there anymore for whatever reason that was. I kind of love that why I left BuzzFeed is like an entire genre of video. It's so funny that you have all these creators that were working for you, no longer working for you, and also talking about it. That's funny. And BuzzFeed might also be considered a content farm. Maybe, I don't know. I really don't know if I consider BuzzFeed to be like a content farm. They probably also hire contractors, but I'm not gonna lie. To be completely honest, my freaking camera is dying too. This is so embarrassing. Oh my god. It's not the Running My Mouth podcast if my camera battery or my recorder battery doesn't die. And today we got a double threat. But anyways, back to what I was saying. It's really suspicious that Valnet decided to strike down this video because at this point, they know they're in the wrong. Because I don't know if this video came out before or after that class action lawsuit came out, but either way, it looks really bad on them that they're trying to bury all of this. But, the Streisand effect will Streisand effect. And I mean, now I know about it, and now you know about it, so it is what it is. I can say that I'm still on Valnet Pack Watch. I don't think this is going to destroy them as a company. I don't think they're too big to fail, though. I think that their floppage might be around the corner, but we'll really have to wait and see how all that turns out. And again, I do really want to look into this and make like a dedicated like deep dive scripted video on this. But again, it's like, will I have the time? That's the question, and the answer is I don't know. So, as much as I would like to, I don't know if I would be able to, which is sad. I don't know. It's a little sad to me. I really would like to, and, I don't know. I really would. So, I don't know if there is an archive. I would imagine there would be one floating around of the original Fireborn video. I would really like to see it. So hopefully he's made that available somewhere. And I want to watch it, and I want to talk about it. I want to talk about it, and I want to talk about the class action lawsuit. And, hopefully I'll be able to do that at some point. Maybe not this week, because I'll be, like I said, I'm Johnny Cash. I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere. I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere. Anyways, I've realized that this episode has gone on for quite a bit, so I think that's going to wrap up the 26th episode of the Runnin My Mouth podcast. Follow me on Twitter. Say it with me, everyone. Follow me on Twitter, because if you're not following me on Twitter, you're only getting half the story. And yeah, that'll conclude this episode. I went to the grocery store today, and I bought a gigantic container of strawberries and a container of blackberries. And I'm going to smash those. I'm going to smash both of them. I remember when I was a kid, my mom would be really frustrated with us because anytime she would buy fruit, we would eat it like immediately. And she's like, why would I buy this stuff for you if you're just going to eat it? And it's like, do you want me to just look at it? Like, it's fresh fruit. It's going to go bad pretty quickly. Like, you should eat it. And it's like, I don't know. This container of strawberries costs like $4. I don't know how much this container of blackberries cost. But like, the price, and it's like a big container of strawberries. Like, it's not the small one. It's a big container, right? And I don't know if strawberries are like completely in season yet, but I did have one earlier today, and it was pretty good. So I'm gonna eat some Fritz. Some Fritz. Yeah. Anyway, bye.